Hello my dear students and welcome to Zenith Academy Online. My name is Shagufta Jaipuri and today we are on part 2 of the chapter Transpiration for ICSE class 10. In part 1 of the chapter we studied what is transpiration, what are the different types of transpiration, what leads to transpiration and the mechanism of stomatal transpiration. So in today's session we'll learn many topics. The first topic is factors which affect transpiration. So we'll study different factors which has a role to play in the rate of transpiration. So there are external factors as well as internal factors. So first we are talking about external factors. First is intensity of sunlight. We all know that photosynthesis happens during the day and it does not happen during the night. So during the day the stomata are open to facilitate the inward diffusion of CO2 for photosynthesis, whereas at night they are closed. Therefore, more transpiration occurs during the day. Now, even during the day when we compare, if there are clouds, okay, so if the atmosphere or the weather is cloudy, then the sunlight is not very intense, it is diffused. So, at that time when it is cloudy during the day, the stomata are partially closed. So, when the sunlight is not very intense, it is diffused due to clouds. At that time, the stomata are partially closed and transpiration is reduced. Okay, whereas if it is a very bright sunny day, then the transpiration is more. So, you can say that transpiration is directly proportional to intensity of light. As the intensity of light increases, transpiration also increases. The second external factor is temperature. Okay. So, if the outside temperature is higher, there is more evaporation from the leaves. Therefore, more transpiration. Obviously, if the temperature outside is higher, okay, it is hotter, then more water from the leaves will go out. Okay. So, the transpiration increases. So, increase in temperature allows more water to evaporate and decrease in temperature reduces the evaporation. So we can say that transpiration is directly proportional to temperature. More the temperature, more the transpiration. Temperature is less, transpiration is less. Now, warm air can hold more water than cold air. This also you should remember. The third external factor is velocity of wind. Transpiration increases with the velocity of wind. So, transpiration is directly proportional to the velocity of wind. If the wind is flowing with a high speed, then the transpiration is also more. So, if the wind blows faster, the water vapor released during transpiration is removed faster. Okay, so from the nearby area, the water vapor is removed faster and the area outside the leaf does not get saturated with water vapor. It is same like evaporation. Okay, in evaporation also, when the velocity of wind is higher, the evaporation is higher. Similarly, if you see, this is a leaf. Okay, so when transpiration is happening, there is more amount of water vapor near the leaf. Okay, so when the wind is blowing, it will take this moisture along with it. Okay, and the air does not become saturated with water. If the air around the leaf is saturated with water, transpiration becomes slow. So, if the velocity of wind is higher, then the moisture around the leaves are removed faster. The air is not laden with moisture near the leaves and hence more transpiration can occur. So, we can say that transpiration is directly proportional to velocity of wind. The next factor is humidity. Transpiration is reduced if the air outside is humid. We already discussed this, that if the water vapor is more outside the leaves, it is saturated with water vapor. That means humidity is more. So, if the humidity is more, transpiration is less. So, transpiration is reduced if the air outside is humid. High humidity in the air reduces the rate of outward diffusion of the internal water vapor across the stomata, thereby reducing the rate of transpiration. So, if humidity in the air is there, then it reduces the rate of outward diffusion of the internal water vapor across stomata. So, inside the leaf, the water vapor is there and outside leaf also water vapor is there due to humidity. So, if humidity is more, the outward diffusion of the water from the leaves is less, and if the outside humidity is less, okay, then water will flow from high concentration to low concentration. Now, carbon dioxide. Increase in the carbon dioxide level in the outside air over the normal 0.03% causes stomatal closure and results in the decrease of transpiration. We all know that normally around 0.01 to 0.03% of carbon dioxide is there in the atmosphere. But if the level of CO2 increases from this, okay, it means outside there is more carbon dioxide. Okay. So it leads to the stomatal closure. The stomata will close because it does not want more carbon dioxide. So if the stomata closes, then obviously the transpiration will also stop. So it leads to decrease of transpiration. So we can say that transpiration rate is inversely proportional to the concentration of carbon dioxide in the air. If carbon dioxide is more, transpiration is less. Next external factor is atmospheric pressure. Okay, so there is air around all the plants, air around all of us, that is called atmosphere. So rate of transpiration increase with the decrease in atmospheric pressure. Thus it enhances diffusion of water vapor. It means that rate of transpiration will increase with the decrease in atmospheric pressure. What does it mean? That transpiration is inversely proportional to atmospheric pressure. If atmospheric pressure is more, transpiration is less. Okay, so here you can see if the outward pressure is more, okay, the water vapor will not be able to come out, okay, because this pressure is more. Okay, you can learn it by this way, that if the pressure is more, students are not able to perform well. Similarly, when pressure is more, the trees will not be able to perform transpiration, whereas if pressure is less, the students are able to perform better. Now we will study about an internal factor. So internal factor is the water content of the leaves. Okay, it is not depending on any other external factor, but inside the water content of leaves. So if the water content of the leaves decreases, okay, due to maybe insufficient absorption of water by the roots, okay, then what will happen? The leaves will wilt and the transpiration is reduced. Okay, so if water inside is less, obviously it will come out less. Such reduction in transpiration is indirectly due to the closure of stomata and is natural mechanism of conserving water within the plant. So if in case the plant has absorbed less water from the soil, okay, then it has lack of water inside, so the plant doesn't want to lose that water. Okay, it will want to conserve that water. So the stomata remains closed. Okay. We'll read this again. If the water content of the leaf decreases due to insufficient absorption, maybe the plant has not been watered, or it is a very hot summer, then if the water inside the leaf decreases and the leaves wilt, at that time the stomata gets closed. Okay, and it is a natural mechanism of conserving water within the plant. So we can say less the water content in the plant, less is the transpiration, that is the internal factor. Now let's talk about the adaptations in plants to reduce excessive transpiration. Now many plants, especially the plants that are thriving in the desert area or the dry climate, okay, they have some adaptations in them so as to reduce excessive transpiration. So first is sunken stomata. The first adaptation in such plants is sunken stomata. The stomata may be sunken or covered by hairs. So this is an example of a Nerium plant. Okay, here you can see this is the stomata. Can you see the guard cells, the stomata? So these are the stomatas. Okay, so these stomatas are sunken and there are hairs, okay, which has protected this stomata. So the loss of water vapor to the atmosphere is less and water is retained inside these cells and the cells do not wilt. So sunken stomata in case of Nerium plant is an example of adaptation in plants. Second adaptation is fewer stomata. the number of stomata may be reduced in such plants where it wants to reduce transpiration. Okay. Then narrow leaves. We all have studied in our last video lecture that for increased transpiration, the leaves has to be broader. So if the leaves are broader, the surface area is more and more transpiration occurs. But when we want to reduce transpiration, the leaves are adapted so that they become narrow. So the leaves are narrow, okay, especially in desert plants. If you have seen, the leaves are very narrow. So the narrow leaves helps in reducing the surface area. The example is Nerium again. Next is reduce exposed surfaces. The exposed surfaces through which the transpiration happens is reduced here. So the leaves may get wavy, okay, or it get rolled off, or it gets folded to reduce the exposed surface. Then loss of leaves. In some plants they shed their leaves. Okay. In some cases the leaves may be dropped or may be absolutely absent, or you have seen that they change into spines as in cacti. Have you seen in cactus the leaves have reduced to spines? So the leaves may be dropped, may be absent, or change into spines as in most cacti to reduce transpiration, because we all know transpiration happens maximum through leaves. Then thick cuticle. So the leaves may be covered with thick cuticle. We have studied in our last video about cuticular transpiration that if the cuticles are thick, the transpiration is less. Okay. So thick cuticle, example in case of banyan and most evergreen trees. Okay, that is why evergreen trees are able to survive in harsh summer climates as well. Now let's talk about what is the significance of transpiration to the plant, okay, and to the environment as well. Okay. First is the cooling effect. Okay. Can you see the animation here? Okay. It clearly states that transpiration is helping in cooling of the plant. Okay. We all know that evaporation leads to cooling. Similarly, transpiration is what? Evaporation of water vapor from the surface. So evaporation reduces the temperature of leaf surface. Therefore, transpiration is useful to plants on hot sunny days. You can see this plant on a hot sunny day. At intense heat, the enzymes are destroyed. Okay, so if the heat is intense, the enzymes are destroyed, and transpiration helps to cool the plant so that the enzymes are not destroyed. Okay, now in this way transpiration helps the plant, but we all know that transpiration helps in cooling the atmosphere also near to plants. Okay, that is why we feel cool under the shade of a tree. So the first significance of transpiration is the cooling effect. Transpiration leads to cooling of the plant and hence saving the enzymes to be killed. Second is suction force. We all know that due to transpiration only the roots are able to suck the water. Okay. So transpiration helps in ascent of sap. We all have studied the ascent of sap in our previous chapter. Okay, the absorption by roots, there we have studied that transpiration helps in ascent of sap by producing a suction force acting from the top of the plant. So here in top of the plant you can see there is transpiration happening. So there is partial vacuum created, because of that it sucks more water. Okay, so I'll read it again. Transpiration helps in ascent of sap by producing a suction force acting from the top of a plant. Evaporation from the leaves concentrates cell sap and increases their osmotic pressure. Now what does this mean? From the leaves, when evaporation is happening, the cell sap becomes concentrated. That is, the water is lost. So if the water is lost, it becomes less diluted, it becomes concentrated. So this increases their osmotic pressure. So now since the concentration of water is less, it will absorb water from the nearby cells. Okay, and as we know, the water flows from high concentration to low concentration. So now we have less concentration of water, or we can say the cell sap is concentrated. It means the concentration of water is less. So it will take water from the more concentrated cells. This draws water from the cells at the lower levels in a sequential manner. Okay, in sequence. So it will take from stem will take from roots. in a sequential manner, which is known as ascent of sap, and finally favors absorption of water from the soil by the roots. Now, as the water evaporates from the leaves, so as the water evaporates from the leaf, a suction force is produced at the top of the plant, drawing more water up through the stem and making the roots absorb more of it from the soil. So, more the transpiration from the top, more the suction, and more it will be able to absorb water from the soil. So, transpiration helps in the suction force. So, that is why the roots are able to supply water to very tall plants as well. Now, distribution of water and mineral soils. In the same way, the way water is being sucked up, the minerals which are dissolved in the water is also circulated. Since leaves are present at the tips of all the branches and twigs, transpiration from their surfaces tends to draw the water towards them, as we have studied in ascent of sap, and thus helps in the distribution of water throughout the plant body. Higher the rate of transpiration, greater the rate of absorption of water and solutes from the soil. So, when water is moving up, obviously the solutes and the minerals will also move up, and this helps in the distribution of water and mineral soils throughout the plant body. Now, the question arises, is transpiration an excretory process in plants? So, many of the students get confused here. The answer is no. It is not appropriate to relate transpiration to excretion or elimination of excess water. Why? Because what is excretion? Excretion is whenever excretion occurs, it is a deliberate active process. Okay, it is an active process which is done deliberately. Then it is excretion. Okay, so excretion whenever it occurs is a deliberate active process carried out by the organism to get rid of unwanted and metabolic waste substances. Whereas here water is not a metabolic waste substance. Okay. So that is why it is not an excretory process. Now, how does transpiration affect climate? We all know that there are large number of forests and trees, okay, on earth, and it helps in affecting the climate. That is why environmentalists all over the world have been yelling and telling and requesting to save trees, because trees helps in regulating the climate. Now, transpiration increases the moisture in the atmosphere and brings rain. Okay, so that is a simple one-line answer of how transpiration affects climate. Transpiration increases the moisture in the atmosphere and brings rain. In this way, transpiration from the plants affect climate. Okay, so forests contribute in bringing rain, and transpiration is the secret why it brings rain. Okay, so you can see that from the plant surfaces the transpiration happens and it collects, forms clouds and bring precipitation. Now, it has been shown experimentally that plants give out large quantities of water during transpiration. So, here are certain examples. A full grown single sunflower plant is estimated to lose about half a liter of water per day. So, one single sunflower plant gives half a liter of water per day in the form of water vapor. A single maize plant loses 2 liters of water per day. A large apple tree may lose about 30 liters of water per day. So, these figures give an idea of the huge quantities of water released into the atmosphere by vast stretches of field and particularly forests. So, we can imagine how much of water vapor is there in the atmosphere because of plants alone. So, now let us discuss few differences between transpiration and evaporation. We have been studying evaporation for a long time now. So, let us study the differences between them. Now, transpiration is a biological process because it happens from plants, whereas evaporation is a physical process. Transpiration is a slow process and comparatively evaporation is a faster process. This occurs in living tissues, that is why it is a biological process, and this involves non-living matter. Then, in the process of transpiration, water is lost from plant cells, whereas in this process, water is lost from the surface of the plant parts or surface of any liquid body. Okay. Now, Transpiration occurs through stomata, cuticle or lenticels. We have studied about all three of them in our last video. Whereas evaporation occurs from the entire outer surface. Okay, it can be anything. Now this occurs during the daytime, whereas evaporation occurs during day as well as night time. Now we'll study the direct loss of water by plants. Right now we have studied in transpiration the loss of water in the form of water vapor. But now we'll study direct loss of water by plants in the liquid state. So two processes we will be studying, guttation and bleeding. So the first process, guttation, which is very important, so pay attention here. So gutta means to pour out, okay, or to drop. Okay. So students, are you able to see this picture out here? Okay, these water droplets which are there at the end of these veins. Okay, so at a particular place these water droplets are. So let's talk about what it is. So guttation is the process of secretion of water droplets. Mind it, this is not water vapor, these are water droplets from the pores of some vascular plants like grass, banana, nasturtium, strawberry. Okay. Now guttation is often confused with dew droplets. Have you seen in the morning time the dew droplets which is formed due to the condensation of water vapor? Okay. But these are not dew droplets. Okay. So don't confuse it with dew droplets that condense from the atmosphere onto the plant surface. So under the condition where the soil is flooded with rainwater and the humidity is high. So whenever the humidity is high, mostly during rainy season, at that times the plant's root system absorbs excess water. So when the humidity is high, when the soil is clogged with rainwater, at that time the plants will absorb excess water than what is required. Okay. So as a result, hydrostatic pressure develops in the roots that forces water upwards. Hence the water involving other soluble cell components. Now here the water which is pushed up due to hydrostatic pressure also has certain soluble cell components. Okay. Now this water is forced out directly from the tips of veins in the leaf. So if you see here, it is at tips of the veins. Okay. Now there are special pore bearing structures called hydrathodes, okay, which are present on the margins of the leaf. So you can see they are present on the margin of the leaves, these pores out of which the water droplets are coming out, okay, to allow this exudation. So this happens especially in case of banana, nasturtium and strawberry. So I'll revise guttation once again. Guttation is to pour out water droplets. So excess water droplets are poured out of the plant when it happens when the humidity is high in the atmosphere because of a phenomena of hydrostatic pressure which develops in the roots and pushes the water outwards. Okay. Now this is not only water, this is water plus minerals or the water involving other soluble cell components. Okay. Now this water plus some soluble cell components comes out through a special pore bearing structure called hydrathodes. Where are these hydrathodes present? At the margins of the leaf to allow the exudation. And the examples are banana, nasturtium and strawberry. So please remember guttation, this is very important from examination point of view. Let us talk about the difference between guttation and transpiration now. So the first, water is lost as the liquid, whereas here it is in the form of vapors. Second, it occurs mostly during night time or early in the morning, whereas this occurs during daylight when the intensity of sun is high. Okay. Now, water lost in guttation is rich in minerals, okay, because it dissolves all the cellular components we have just studied. Whereas here the transpired water is pure, so it is only pure water in transpiration. Here the process takes place through hydrathodes, okay, whereas in transpiration stomata perform this process as well as lenticels and cuticles. So transpiration happens due to maximum due to stomata, also due to lenticels and cuticles. Guttation is an uncontrolled phenomena, whereas we studied last time also in transpiration that it is a regulated and controlled phenomena, which is regulated by guard cells, because guard cells decide whether the stomata will open or close. Okay. Now, here there is no effect on turgidity of leaf, whereas in transpiration, if water is lost, the leaf becomes flaccid. Okay, so it may lead to loss of turgidity in the leaf cells to cause wilting, and the leaves will wilt. Now, we know guttation causes no cooling, whereas transpiration is a special type of evaporation, and that is why it leads the cooling of the plant body. So it cools the plant body. Now, guttation, we studied, it occurs in which conditions? Humid conditions, whereas this occurs mainly during dry conditions. We have just studied the factors affecting transpiration. There we had studied that if humidity is more, transpiration is less. So we need dry conditions for more transpiration, whereas we need humid conditions for more guttation. Now let's talk about the last part, that is bleeding. Okay, bleeding is another form of loss of water from the plant directly. So this happens only due to injury. The plant sap escapes or bleeds from the ruptured or cut surface of the plant. The root pressure generated by a plant assists in bleeding. Okay, so whenever there is a cut in the plant, okay, then the plant sap escapes or the plant sap comes out. It bleeds. The word is bleeds from the ruptured or cut surface of a plant. Now this happens even in winters when due to the cold there is a rupture or cut in the plant, and the root pressure is already high. So the high root pressure should also be there, okay, in this type. So the root pressure generated by the plant assists in bleeding. So if the root pressure is more, bleeding occurs naturally. Okay. So here you can see the pictures where you can see the bleeding happening. Okay. This is a special type of a tree from which metal is bleeded. Okay, so there is more content of metal ions here. Here you can see. Okay, so this is the bleeding from the cut or the injured part. So the basic difference between guttation and bleeding here is bleeding occurs mainly due to injury. So now let's revise here. This is the whole phenomena in our last chapter where we did absorption of roots. Okay, so in roots, which are the two phenomena taking place? Imbibition and osmosis, through which the water enters the root hair. Now how does it travel in the stem? Okay, because of these three processes of, see, I'll enlarge it for you, cohesion, root pressure and capillary action. Okay, so because of these three actions, the water travels in the stem. Now loss of water. Loss of water happens through stomatal transpiration. You can see here stomatal transpiration happening through the stomata. Okay, then guttation, that is loss of water directly from the leaf. Then from the cuticles, cuticular transpiration, and then in the last you can see here lenticels. So this is open, so the inside cells, these lenticels are exposed, and this leads to lenticular transpiration. So the water is absorbed from the root. Okay, root. So root hair absorbs water by two processes, imbibition and osmosis. Then it travels the stem through the process of cohesion, root pressure and capillary. Then the water is lost in the atmosphere through stomatal transpiration, guttation, cuticular transpiration and even lenticular transpiration. So we have summed up the whole of transpiration for you. I hope you understood the whole chapter very well. Please watch our next video where we will give you the important question and answers and all the possible question and answers in all the format for this chapter. So keep on following Zenith Academy online, and if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please do it right away and share our channel with all of your friends and keep the learning on. Thank you.